welcome to the Between Mediums podcast. I'm Bex.
And I'm Betsy.
And today we have a very exciting topic that Betsy says she has a perfect and timely story for us that I can't wait for her to share. I just want to say that as mediums, probably one of the biggest questions I get asked is how can I connect to the spirit world? How can I connect to my loved ones if I'm not a medium? And I want to say, I want to say all mediums, at least the ethical ones, will always tell you that they are not the only way to communicate with your loved ones in spirit. Mediumship is a powerful and direct route. I'm not discounting what we do because obviously me and Betsy are obsessed with it. But in no way are we gatekeepers to your relationship with your loved ones in spirit. Your loved ones want to talk to you, and we are just kind of the call operators sometimes. So today, we really wanted to kind of crack open one of my personal favorite ways to connect with the unseen world, and that is through signs. So asking for signs from the spirit world is not only a great way to feel connected to your loved ones, but it's also just like the best way to inject your day with a supersized dose of magic.
Because it is, you know what, I love it. It is magical and it is very, I want people to know like it's not like a really heavy thing. It's a very light, it's very malleable. It changes. It's like it is magical because it can come in any form.
hmm and like you said, it's super accessible. This Signs are accessible to every single person out there because the magic of them is that they're extremely personal and they're extremely accessible. And they're also really fun if you let them be.
I call them like the spiritual breadcrumbs that get dropped in, or like little spiritual love notes that get
Oh,
dropped in.
oh my gosh, love notes. I love that imagery because it's really just a way to be like, I'm here, I'm aware,
Mhm.
I love you. And
I see you, I'm with you. Yes.
what's also really cool about signs is you can use them to communicate with your loved ones who've passed away, but also you can just communicate with your guides and the spirit world as a whole. It's extremely versatile as well. Like Betsy said, it's tangible, it's malleable to kind of what you need. Betsy, I want to know how you work with signs. Is it something you work with regularly, or how do you typically work with signs, or how do they appear to you? Or is it different every time?
It's interesting how you say, how do I work with signs? I really say that signs work with me. I'm much more of a receiver than a requester of signs, and that's just my nature. That's just how I'm wired. But I know some amazing mediums who are able to like ask for specific signs, who get fantastic signs. But for me, I would say the first way that I felt like spirit was communicating with me, this is like way back before I even knew I had abilities, was through number sequences. So this would be, and for me, and I believe that number sequences, while there are the universal ones like the 111, the 222, I do feel like there are some times where people get specific number sequences that are unique to them. And for me, it's always been 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I would see 12:34 on the clock. I would pause the TV to go get a snack and it would be stopped at 12:34. And this is a number that has just been repeated in my life for years. And I remember in the beginning I thought that it meant something specific or it was from somebody specific on the other side. But the more I kind of leaned into my relationship with spirit, I realized it's really more of a I see you.
Mhm.
Yes. And I started to get curious about it. And so anytime I would see the 1, 2, 3, 4, I would stop myself and think, what was I just thinking about? And usually it's like I have an idea that's like ruminating in my head of like something I want to do or somebody I want to call. And I've started to learn now that it's like a yes, yes, that's right.
A
And it even got,
confirmation.
yes, it got so obnoxious that I started taking pictures of it all the time. Like I'd see 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's like a joke in my family. Like it's 1, 2, 3, 4. My husband has a completely different number sequence that he gets a lot, and for him it's 3, 5, 7. And
Interesting.
and he's now starting to take pictures of it because it happens so often.
That's so cool. And I think it illustrates a few things that I think sometimes we need signs. Sometimes we want signs to mean like, oh, you need to do this or they need to be deeper. But I love how you illustrated like it's just a yes. It's a we see you. It's a confirmation. It's a take a step forward kind of thing. And
Yeah.
it, like you said, it's the breadcrumb. And also how personalized it is. Like different numbers are significant to different people. I also
Hmm.
think it's really funny because that's also a question I get a lot when I do psychic sessions is I'm
Ah,
getting this number. Who's sending it to me? What does it mean?
yeah. Yeah. And I was the same way, like, who is this? What are they trying to tell me? And it's really a much bigger picture than that
Hmm.
when you really like look at it.
Hmm.
But I'd love to share a personal story of one where it's like there was no denying like this, the power of this for me. I've shared on here before that my mom passed and she was living in another state at the time. And the day after she passed, my sister and I were leaving to go to the airport to fly home. And we were backing out of the driveway, and our stepfather was in the driveway waving goodbye to us. And as soon as we started to pull away, my eyes got drawn to the clock in the car, and it was 1, 2, 3, 4. And I was like, and I showed my sister, I'm like, look, because I always point them out to her. But it was like I knew like my mom is like, I see you. It's okay. Like I just felt so supported from the other side in that moment.
I have chills. I have chills.
Mhm.
Wow. And I also love how you said it's kind of your eyes are drawn, or at least that's how it works for me as well. It's like
Yeah.
you're kind of just drawn. Something I want to talk about working with signs or having signs work with you are just kind of a few tips because I don't think it's necessarily straightforward for everyone. I feel like this is something that is very easily overthought and overprocessed, which is why a lot of times we get signs and we don't believe them or we don't validate them. And
Hmm.
so something I think people struggle with is wanting to know, is this a sign or is this not a sign? How do I know if it's a sign? And to that, I would say always pay attention to how you feel. That's how you know if it's a sign or not. How do you feel? I like to say I get spirit zings if it's a sign. Like it's kind of this like this lens focusing, like, okay, this is what I need to pay attention to, or kind of like you said, Betsy, your eyes were drawn towards the clock. But like how do you feel when you receive the sign?
That is great advice, and I agree with you because I get this question asked to me a lot in readings. Um, People are afraid they're going to miss the signs from their loved ones, and I always say you can never miss the signs, just like you can never miss what's meant for you. It will find its way to you. And I think kind of going back to the magical part of signs is the one piece of advice I would give anybody is if it felt like a sign to you, trust that. And a lot of us, we want to like share it with, let's say, our partner or friend, like, hey, I just got this. I think that was my mom. And we kind of outsource the validation to somebody else. The validation is only coming from you and it's only necessary from you because the spirit world is very direct. They're
Mhm.
not going to use like the peanut gallery to define whether or not this was a sign for you. Only you can define whether or not this was a sign for you. And I love how you talked about how does it make you feel and where for me it always kind of lifts me to a higher place. It kind of lightens my heart. It kind of brings a little bit more of like softness and joy into my body, which for me feels like an elevated lift from spirit.
Hmm. I feel like I'm brought to the funny thing is I'm not actually a movie person, but I almost feel like it turns this moment of my life into cinematography, where like it's almost this zoom in, zoom out kind of thing. Like it's, do you know what I mean? Like you just kind of feel the
Yes.
spirit world be like, okay, this is what we're paying attention to. This is what I need you to see right now. And it just makes you
Yes.
feel like a main character. It feels so good.
It does. Okay, so there's this really fun memory that's coming up right now. So years ago, I was fans of an actress from an old TV sitcom named Taxi. Her name's Mary Lou Henner. I'm not sure if you're familiar with her, but she had written a book back in the day, and she talked about in movies. You know how in certain TV shows or movies they show you things that are going to come up in the storyline later,
Mhm.
and she called it figures prominently, meaning like this is important because it's going to be prominent and relevant to what's to come. And I feel like that's kind of like that movie reference. It's like, pay attention to this because this is important for your story.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I also think Betsy talked about like if it's meant for you, if it's meant for you, it's going to show up for you. You can't miss it. But I also want one of the tips of I guess of encouragement that I have is be wildly open. If you ask for a sign, be absolutely the most open you can possibly be. And this means for timelines, and this also means to pathways to signs. Personally, how I receive signs is I love to ask for them. I think it's fun. I think it's interactive and playful. And then sometimes I also just receive signs and I just know it's from spirit. So it works both ways. But I think sometimes when we put expectations on how something is supposed to show up for us, it kind of robs us of the evidence of the spirit world and also the magic. So, like, my
Yeah.
tip is remove all of the expectations because if you can only see signs right here, you are missing all of the signs, you know, outside
Yep.
of like these your blinder zone. This is your permission slip to put it all on spirit. Just detach totally, receive, and just trust in the power and intelligence of the spirit world.
Isn't it interesting, Bex, when we talk about this, it's very similar to how mediumship works.
Totally.
It's it's exactly the same. It's like mini mediumship is
Mhm.
what you're doing with signs. It's you are open to whatever spirit wants to impress upon you, but you release any expectation or control over how, when, and what comes through to you. So you have to just, yeah, it's being as open and receptive as possible with as little expectation as possible.
Totally. And it's okay, it's funny because I grew up religious, and I don't know if other people have experienced this or if this is just something that I just slurped up and latched onto, but I always thought that asking for signs was bad because I feel like they're in the scriptures or in the Bible, or I grew
Mm.
up in the Mormon church. So in the Book of Mormon, there's evidence of like, there's all these stories of these people asking for signs and then they were like struck dumb because they were like prideful and questioning, and so that's not something that I was ever tempted to do, obviously, as a kid. So I think there again, it's removing the blinders, it's removing the expectations like Betsy said of like how is this supposed to look versus like how will I allow this to look? How will I allow
Yes.
this to show up for me?
One other thing I would love to share it with this is that a lot of people, especially when you are deep in grief or shortly after a loss, there and I've had people where their grief is actually blocking them from excuse me, recognizing the signs, not by any like choice of their own, but I had it come through in a recent reading where the person was worried, they were afraid they were going to miss the signs. And the way spirit showed this to me is they showed it to me almost like a little bit of like a gray bubble that this fear of missing out has kind of put around this person, which is it's kind of like it gummed up the glass that you could see through. I number one, I think this is completely normal, especially shortly after loss and deep in grief. So please know this is so normal if you identify with this. Because I said to them, like, it's as much as this fear is maybe keeping you from seeing the signs, just know that again, I said to her, like, you can't miss what's meant for you. And if you don't notice it, it comes back. Like, they will not stop communicating with you just because you didn't notice it the first time. It will continually come back around in so many different ways. And also through this reading, we discovered together, me and my client, that they actually were getting signs, but they didn't realize they were signs until Spirit had brought them up in their reading, and it kind of spurred this conversation.
I love that, and I definitely want to emphasize what Betsy's saying about like looking for signs can feel very scary after loss. There's a tendency, I think, to hope and feel this openness after tragedy. There could be a fear of disappointment. There could be a fear of them not showing up for you and just feeling that loss kind of all over again. So I just want to emphasize that like we understand but also know that this is an option in the right time for you if this is something that you're interested in. Your loved ones want to connect with you. Betsy, do you have experiences where your loved one sent you signs? I know you talked about your mom sending you this indicator with the 1, 2, 3, 4. Do you have any other experiences?
I do. I do. I have like a whole little like
I
a
can't
little a
wait.
little a little like treasure box of them. But I want to share a sign that just came in literally within 5 minutes before we popped online together. We
Oh,
knew we were going to be
yes.
doing this episode
Yes.
together, right? And I'm sitting here and jotting down my signs I'm going to share. And then I just got a notice on my computer. I got a new computer recently and it'll like pop up something from my phone, but on my computer screen. And so I saw something pop up and it was a picture of my parents. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I went to my phone to see, like, what is this? And every once in a while, I get like these notifications of like, like back in history, this was the photos that you had. And so I saved it on my screen to replay it for you. So it's this picture of my parents, but it ended up being this like little mini, that's me and my dad.
See?
And then this is a picture of my dad when I was living with him at this time. So, and then this is my parents when my first child was born. That was it.
Betsy.
I don't know, and it's gonna make me cry. I've never put those pictures together. I've never done, like, they're just on my phone. But
Oh,
someone somewhere pulled these all together and made these pop up on my phone right before we got on our call together.
if that's not a sign,
I don't know what is.
I don't know what is. Loud and clear. Oh, that makes me so emotional.
So
Wow.
it's like my mom and dad knew, oh yeah, she's gonna be talking about us. She's gonna be talking about these signs that we sent her. This
Mhm.
is like these are confirmation, like it's just too good to be true sometimes. Like, yeah. So that
Mhm.
was my big, that was the first one that I got today.
Incredible.
Um, but yeah, I'd love to share some with you if you'd like to hear about the different
Gimme,
ways.
yes, gimme all you got. I have a few
Okay.
too, but I want to hear yours first.
Oh, okay. So numbers was my number one. Okay. Numbers still come up for me. The second one is animals, which I think is quite common. For when my mom passed, she had lost her sister back when she was, I think, in her 40s. And for my mom, hummingbirds always represented her sister to her. And so hummingbirds have always had a special spiritual place in our family. And so when my mom passed, hummingbirds just naturally felt comforting to me. And I see them all the time in my backyard. I have a fountain in the back. They come and take drinks of water there. So hummingbirds have always reminded me of my mom, which is why you see a hummingbird on my business logo.
I
Because I
love
do feel
that.
like she was her passing and her spirit have been so helpful to me on this journey. And then when my dad passed a few years later, for some reason, butterflies and my dad just somehow came together. I see them on my walks with my dogs. They will show up at random times of the year and just kind of fly in front of me, around me, and I'll be like, "Hi, Dad. Hi, Dad." And I think that animals are probably one of the easiest ways and most common ways that our loved ones in spirit will come through to us. Another way that my parents, or that I've had a sign from spirit is a few months after my dad passed away, my husband and I were at an outdoor concert down in San Diego. The headliner was Stick Figure. It's a pretty popular like rock reggae band. And so we were at this concert and we were like on the rail before like the VIP section. So there was like this space between us. And so we're standing at this rail and all of a sudden this white feather just comes floating down from the sky and landed on the grass right in front of where I was standing. And I pointed to my husband, like, check it out, that feather. And he's like, that's so cool. And I think it was just a few minutes later, a second feather came
Wow.
flying down and landed just a little bit like to the side of this first feather. I was like, what? Two feathers? So I took a picture with my phone. And so as this concert went on, all of a sudden a song came on by this artist who I forgot they even had this song. And the song's title is called Once in a Lifetime. And it really like shook me to my core because the last words that my dad said to me before he passed over was once in a lifetime.
Oh,
And
Betsy.
at the time that he said these words to me, I just thought he was saying like being like my dad believed like being in the physical body, like this is a trip, this is an adventure, like this is a
Mhm.
once in a lifetime thing. And then to hear that song after like I just really felt his presence with me. And I literally was like holding back the ugly sobs, not out of sadness, but out of like, how beautiful is it that our relationships with our loved ones, it doesn't end. It really doesn't. Yes, it's completely different than it was here in the physical world, but it does continue, and they continue to see us and interact with us when we are able to notice it. I mean, they do it whether or not we notice it, but when
Mhm.
we notice it, there's just kind of it just felt like a reuniting with my loved ones.
Oh, I love so many things about this, and I love that I just love how powerful the words are. I love how powerful it is that you notice these feathers, and then it was almost like he grabbed your attention, and then he's like, "Okay, here's the validation that it really is me. I'm here." And
Yeah.
how beautiful and also like unforced that is. Like it you that was pure receivership right there,
Yep.
right? And
Yep.
I think you also talked about your dad loves music, or your dad loves music when he was alive. So like that is also just what an incredible connection there as well. What I love about this too is again just how organic this was. There's a temptation to not trust spirit enough to give you the sign. So like I've
Mm.
seen some people be like, "Oh, send me a an apple." And then they're planning on going to the grocery store later that day. Like that's not going to be a sign because you are the one orchestrating that. Allowing spirit to really show up and serve you, show up for you without you having to do anything.
I was gonna say, Bex, this ties in so beautifully with an example that you have shared in a previous episode of the word Alaska. That
Yes.
is a sign.
Hmm. Yes, like a very, very clear sign. And I have another story
Mm.
of something like this where I couldn't have orchestrated this if I tried. When I first started working with signs, well, this was actually probably the very first time I worked with signs. And at this point in my spiritual development, I wasn't sure if this is something I wanted to do. I felt like mediumship was something that I needed to learn to get good at, but that's that's about it. And so my ritual with spirit was I would go drink my coffee on my couch and open up the shades and watch the sunrise in the morning and just chat, just sip coffee and chat with spirit in the morning. And I no longer drink coffee because laser beams come out of my eyeballs. But but anyway, during this time, I'm like, I think I want to experiment with signs. I think this was a time, if you haven't read Laura Lynn Jackson's book called Signs,
Mm.
highly recommended, 100% channeled from the spirit world. Incredible book. Anyway, I read the sign. I'm like, this is something I want to experiment with. So I'm like, Spirit, I would like a sign. And if this is something I'm supposed to do, if this is, if I'm on the right path, just let me know. Just let me know. Let me know you're listening to me. And so the first thing that popped into my head was a chandelier. And
Mm.
I live in like a cottage. There's no room for chandeliers around here. And my plans for the day, we don't have a TV. Plans for the day was just like house projects. I was just kind of like tinkering around the house and getting stuff done. And so there was no opportunity to organically just like run into a chandelier. I just knew that this was not something that was going to just pop into my life. And so I'm like, yeah, that's what I want. I want the gaudiest, like shiniest crystal chandelier you can give me, spirit. That's what I want if this is what I'm supposed to do. And so around noon that day, I was doing house projects and we were kind of looking for like a new door for one of our closets or and there was like this door warehouse or something downtown. So I'm like, "Hey, husband, do you want to go just look at this door place really quick so we could figure out if it's something we want?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure." And so it's this door warehouse in this old industrial building. And so we pull in and it's kind of a quirky place anyway. And as soon as we walk in the door, I see not one, not two, 10 giant crystal chandeliers. Like this guy collected them. Like as soon
No.
as I walked in the door, literally the ceiling was covered in gigantic, like 20s style, like Art Deco chandeliers. And so I'm just standing here with like door to
Were you
like
like,
I'm like it's been like 2 hours, Spirit.
oh
And
yeah.
that was my incredible confirmation that like I could not have orchestrated that. Spirit just showed up for me. 10
Yeah.
chandeliers.
Did you end up buying your door from that store?
We did.
Because I feel like that was a confirmation of like, this is the correct store.
It was
This is the one
actually
to buy from.
it was actually kind of an interesting story because it's like an old industrial building and I walked up to the second floor and I'm like, this place is haunted. Let's get a door and get out.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's so funny. Oh my gosh. So, music and songs tends to be a theme now with my loved ones, not just my dad, but also my mom. So, I'll start with my dad. So, one night, my husband and I randomly decided to go to Bass Pro Shops to buy some supplies. I think we were getting ready to go on our trip. And so we went to Bass Pro Shops and we ended up splitting up. Like he went to one section and I went to the women's section. And so I'm just sitting there like looking through, like jackets and hoodies. And all of a sudden my attention goes to the music that's playing on the overhead thing in Bass Pro Shops. And it was this old song called What a Difference You Made in My Life by Ronnie Millsap. This is the song that my dad handpicked to dance with me at my wedding reception.
Oh.
This is a pretty like not mainstream song, and so like shopping at Bass Pro Shops. My attention goes to the song, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And it had just been, I think it was just a few days after my dad's birthday that
Oh.
this happened. And so I went and like went through all the like sections of Bass Pro Shops to find my husband. I'm like, do you hear this song? Do you hear the song? And he's like, yeah. And my husband remembered that song as well, which I thought was really interesting. He's like, yeah, I heard it. I was wondering if you noticed it too. It's
That's
like,
sweet.
oh.
Oh.
And then another time I was shopping in Target with my daughter. And again, I have the habit of doing this where I split off from the person I'm with. Like they go to their section, I go to mine. I'm just pushing the cart through Target and I hear this Fleetwood Mac song over the speakers and the song name is Oh Diane. I've never heard this Fleetwood Mac song before. My mom's name is Diane. And just kept repeating this lyric. It's like, oh, Diane, like over and over and
Wow.
over. Yeah. And I had just been out with my daughter that day. Like we had lunch, we went shopping together, and that's what I used to do with my mom. And it was just like, oh, that's like her way of being there with us during
Hmm.
that time.
Oh, I love that. And I love like the words. I feel like words are a phenomenal
Yes.
way to receive signs. And this isn't my story, but this is a client is in this reading, she lost one of her animals and her dog had kind of like a human name, which we see sometimes. And something that this dog brought up is like you keep hearing my name like in conversations. You keep hearing my name like at dinner or over the radio or you keep hearing my name and she was like, "Oh my gosh, like I do and they're like you're doing like a double take every time you hear my name." And I think that's a really powerful way. It's just like words. That's a way that you can play with the spirit. Like send me this word. I want to hear this word this week. And just that confirmation because I really do kind of feel like human beings are, well, and animals.
We're
Spirit is
vessels.
we're vessels. Yes, we're vessels. Spirit is working through us or has the capacity to work through us to deliver signs.
Do you want
Okay.
to hear about some
Oh,
interesting signs, some weird signs?
give me a weird one.
So I recently did a reading for a dog that had passed, and the owner wanted to know if how they were going to be. They asked, like, how will I know if the sign is from this animal? And so I asked the animal in spirit, like, can you show me like what signs are going to be like? And all they gave me was the word smells, and like I could see their nose, and they said smells. And I'm like, smells. Okay, like that's pretty vague. And so I shared what I got. Like, I'm getting smells, but I didn't get anything further than that. And the client didn't really respond to that. So we moved on with the reading. But at the very end, the wife of the couple, she said to me, "Oh, I wanted to share with you. You had mentioned smells earlier on. And I now am remembering that after our dog had passed, I had this really pungent smell come to me that smelled like I know you're not a dog owner, dog anal glands, which they can get really stinky and they have to be
Mhm.
like expressed.
Expressed,
Okay.
yes.
I have this with my dog, so I understood immediately what she's talking about. She goes, there was a day where all of a sudden I smelled that smell in the house and I didn't know where it was coming from. I checked like all of the areas and she checked with her husband and he didn't smell it, but she's like, I know I smelled it and it smelled just like our dog. And I'm
Wild.
like, that's the smell. Like that's even though it seems so strange, it's not like a bird or a coin on the floor. No, that is a sign from your loved one in spirit.
Hmm. It's funny you say that because I also have a stinky dog in spirit. And so
You
I
do?
do. I have a very
Oh.
stinky dog in spirit. And so it's funny because anytime it's kind of like a joke, but my daughter, anytime she like smells a fart or something, she's like, "Oh, there he is. He's here."
Mm-hmm. Because it's recognizable to you.
Yep. Yep. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's our smelly guy. Yep. Something I also want to say about signs is that they can be utilized for a lot of different things. It doesn't need to be just you get a sign and you feel comfortable. I think they could actually be very functional. Like sometimes I use signs to be like, okay, if this is something that I'm supposed to pursue, show me a sign, or if I'm really struggling, can you show me it's going to be okay? Or anything along those lines, you could really just ask for support. And I told Betsy about this a little while ago. I got a sign from Spirit at the airport not that long ago.
This is
And
so good.
my husband and I went on a trip to Japan recently, and it was to redo our honeymoon because our honeymoon was horrible. So this was our redo. And so we went to Japan, and flying back, we went to the airport, and they say to get there like 3 hours early. And so we end up getting there like 2.5 hours early. It was a little bit short. And the line to for the gate agent was insane. Like crazy long, super, super long. And there was only one gate agent. And so we were essentially crawling through this line. And we were like an hour in, and we probably were only like five or six people up. Like the line was
Mm.
just insane. And we're like, I'm trying not to panic. I hate being late. We have kids at home. People are watching our kids. I'm trying so hard not to panic. And so we're like trying to do, this travel math. Like, okay, if we get through security at this time, then we could just run as fast as we can and we'll still make it. Or if we, if it goes this time, we'll whatever. We're trying to like do the math, and I'm trying so hard not to panic. And I'm like, okay, Spirit, is it gonna be okay? Like help me out. I'm really struggling. I'm really trying to keep my cool here. And I heard the words look down. And so I looked down, and next to my shoes, there was this little sticker, and it was of Snoopy, and it was Snoopy like wearing sunglasses, aggressively lounged, like so chill, just lounging against like this suitcase. And I started laughing because I'm like, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be fine. And I ended up taking a picture of this because I'm like, I know that this is a sign. Like nothing is adding up in my reality to make it seem like everything's gonna be okay, but Spirit's telling me it's gonna be okay. So it's gonna be okay. And so I took this picture, and I was telling Betsy that as I took this picture, at the time that I took this picture, there was, again, no indicators at the time that this was going to work out. I just knew it was going to. So we eventually made it to our gate with like a few minutes to spare. But like those few minutes, we were able to just like sit back and relax. And it was so significant that like Spirit was there to kind of soothe my panic, soothe my anxiety when I really needed it, when I was like, I need to get back to my babies. And it's so funny because Snoopy has zero significance to me. I'm actually not a Peanuts fan, but me and Betsy have talked about we've seen Snoopy everywhere since.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
maybe I
I'm
need to
not
revisit that.
same. Snoopy has a whole new meaning for us now because now it's like because you've shared like you had shared that example with me, and now I will see Snoopy out and it brings a smile to my face. Like just be cool like Snoopy. Just be
Yep.
cool.
Just relax, relax.
Relax.
It's funny. I sent the picture to Betsy, and it really is. It's like the scuffed airport floor with this super chill
Mhm.
picture of Snoopy, and everything worked out. Spirit was there for me.
Love stuff like that. Because you know what? That's something I think that the spirit world really wishes that humans understood better is that our fear and our panic does not serve us. It
Mhm.
does the opposite. We need to learn to trust and relax and believe that everything is going to work out for our highest good because that's exactly what's going to happen.
And I think it was a beautiful reminder of that worrying actually isn't going to get me through the line. Worrying is not moving anything. It's just actually creating chaos and panic in my internal landscape, right? It's not really
Mhm.
actually affecting anything externally in a helpful way. And so, like you said, like this releasing and like everything's fine. Like I could go through the line relaxed or I could go through the line panicked. And either way, it's still going to be the same time.
It's interesting. There's an example I want to share here. I'm not sure how it's relevant, but I'm just going to share it and see if it ends up being relevant. Um, so, as you know, I go to a lot of concerts with my husband. We go to indoor concerts, outdoor concerts, festivals, what have you. So, this was probably 2 years ago or so, and we were in Las Vegas for one of the biggest reggae festivals we go to. And we are standing at one of the stages, and it gets kind of crowded. You know, there's people all around, and this is outdoors. And so we're standing there, and all of a sudden, you can like see, like, it's streets are blocked off. So you can see other buildings and streets around you. And so we're all standing there listening to this artist perform, and the audience starts to notice like there's something going on to the left of us. And if you look down the street, there was like a building on fire, and there was like smoke billowing up
My
from this
gosh.
building. And it was probably only a few blocks from where we were standing. I probably still have this, but in the past, I've always been so afraid of things like being in a big group setting and having some catastrophe happen. So I looked over, I saw this just a few blocks away, and I started to get panicky in my chest. And I started to notice like especially all the men around us were all like, whispering about it, pointing at it. And then we noticed another few blocks down from that was another one on fire with smoke billowing up. So there's
Oh my
two.
gosh.
There's two. And I'm standing there and I look at my husband and I'm like, "Do you see that?" And he goes, "It's okay. It's okay." And I didn't want to have a panic attack and freak out right there, but I just put my hand on my chest and I closed my eyes and I just talked to Spirit and I said, "I know, Spirit, that regardless of what happens, whatever comes of this, I'm going to be okay." And that you know that like like you wouldn't let something bad happen to me unless it was supposed. Like I have full trust in you. And all of a sudden I was able to like relax in this moment and trust that it's going to be okay. And even if it's not okay, I will be okay through it. And this is something I've really had to come to terms as far as like experiences in life of our fear. We think it's going to keep us safe, but it actually blocks us from what's really meant for us. And yes, there's going to be some really crappy, shitty things you're going to have to experience in life, like losing my parents. Yeah, I would have never wanted that. But there's something that comes from walking through things that open you up to experiences and things that are meant for you that you never would have experienced had you not been receptive to them.
No, I think it's the same thing of like this inherent and strong trust in spirit that like these personal tragedies in our life are portals, and we've talked about that before.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
some of these some of the worst things that happen to us in life can carry us and be the catalyst to becoming the best versions of ourselves, to leading us to these things that we're always meant to be. And I know, Betsy, your experience with like mediumship, and you're one of the most natural mediums I've ever met, was sandwiched between the loss of both of your parents. You know,
Yeah.
like I think you could say that, oh, I would prefer not to do that, but I also feel like this is something that really catapulted you into this experience with such power.
It's almost like as hard as it was to go through this humongous loss twice, it almost like lit something inside of me. Like I truly do believe that my parents are totally on my side and guiding me through this. You know, I won't go into that's a whole other story. But anyways, but yes, like there can be things that propel you forward that you feel like it came from something that was a darkness inside of you, but it actually unlocked something inside of you. So I think it'd be so fun, and I'm not sure if how we can incorporate this. So I have pictures from some of my signs.
I do
You have your Snoopy
too.
picture.
Yeah.
I would love to maybe even start like something on our Instagram page or somewhere where people can share pictures of the signs they've received and share it with us because I'd love to hear other people's sign stories.
I am so interested in this. I want to hear, yes, I want to hear the significance of the signs as well. I love that. I love that. I do. I have pictures of these. I'm pretty sure I have pictures of the chandeliers too.
Nice. And this is prompting me. I feel like, okay, it's Monday that we're recording this, and this is a fresh week. So I'm actually going to play with spirit this week and do something I don't normally do. I'm actually going to sit with spirit and ask for a specific sign, and I'm going to ask for something that I have not, have it come in a way that I haven't received yet. So maybe not a song, maybe not a hummingbird or a butterfly, something unique that only I would know how it's relevant. And hopefully, if it shows up, I'll take a photo of it and share it with all of you later.
Okay, I'm also hopping on. That sounds so much fun. I'm totally gonna do that. That sounds
Okay.
so fun. Okay, that is our experience with signs. They are designed to help you feel closer to the spirit world, help you feel connected to your universal birthright as a being of spirit. And so these can help you feel close to your loved ones in spirit, like Betsy shared. This could also just help you feel closer to maybe your spirit team or the spirit world, or even just closer to maybe the path that you're designed to go on. Um,
Mm.
I, I am somebody, I do love the validation from the spirit worlds. And if that's something that you need too, signs are a great way to receive that. So we are so grateful that you joined us today for another episode of the Between Mediums podcast, and we'll see you next time.
See you soon.
Bye.